Warner Brothers Discovery strikes again. They're a company that has had a pretty bad reputation in recent years as far as not preserving media and deleting it, like the Wile E. Coyote situation, where they plan on actually deleting the entire movie from the servers like it never existed. Never mind the whole not releasing it and just letting it sit on the shelf. No, it's going to be gone forever. And a lot of people were upset about that. Also, they pulled a whole bunch of stuff from HBO Max, and it's just gone. Well, their shitty practices are carrying over now to the video game industry because they own a publishing studio called Adult Swim Games. Yes, the same Adult Swim that, you know, late at night after Cartoon Network was over, you'd have Family Guy and Rick and Morty and all those shows. A number of years ago, they started a publishing studio where they would just put out a bunch of these indie games, and it was just another good way for indie developers to get their games published. Well, Warner Brothers has decided that there's not enough money in that anymore, and they are pulling the plug on Adult Swim Games. They are no longer going to be publishing indie games under that umbrella, and, you know, that alone wouldn't be as much of a big story because Adult Swim Games was a rather obscure thing that most people didn't really, like, most people never really played a game published under Adult Swim. And they have the right to decide, yeah, we don't want to do this anymore, we don't feel like it's a worthwhile business venture, but they are going a step further by delisting every single game that was published under Adult Swim and removing it completely from Steam, from PlayStation, anywhere else that the games were published. They're going to be gone forever in a matter of weeks. A couple of days ago, there was a game called Small Radios, Big Televisions that the developer of that game made a public statement on Twitter saying that Warner Brothers told them that the game was going to be taken off of Steam. So in response to that, he uploaded the entire game file on his website for people to download for free. I don't know if Warner Brothers is going to try to take that down as soon as the game gets delisted officially, but it's stupid because they're not making money off of it anymore. They don't feel like they can make any money, so I don't know why they don't just transfer the ownership of these games to the individual developer that made the game. There is a developer called Michael Molinari. He released a game called Sound Dodger Plus in 2013, which was also published through Adult Swim Games. He said that he got the same thing, that Warner Brothers contacted them, saying that the game was going to be removed from Steam, and they didn't really go into detail as whether or not they're going to delist it, delete it completely. He wanted them to transfer ownership to him, and they denied the request. They said no. Due to, quote, logistical and resource constraints, they can't transfer game ownership to other people, to the people that actually made the game. Instead, it's better off that these games are gone forever. They're crappy indie games. We're a big multi-billion-dollar corporation. We can't be bothered with that peasant-type shit, right? What I don't get is why don't they just leave it the way it is, right? They leave the game listed on Steam, and they publish it. They don't have to publish any more games if they don't want to, if they don't want to invest any more money into indie gaming, but let the games that already exist stay on the storefront. It doesn't cost you any fucking money to just leave it there and forget about it. And again, that's fair if they don't want to be involved in that business anymore, but it's just fucked up and completely unjustified to say, yeah, no, we're going to retain the ownership of all these games while still delisting them and making sure that they're not playable for future generations of gamers. It's completely fucked up. I'm someone that's very big on game preservation, even though I've never played these games before, and who knows if I ever will, even if the games were not delisted. Just being realistic, I'm not going to play like every single game that's ever existed, but I think it's always a tragic thing when a game becomes completely lost and is unplayable. You guys know how much I care about this issue in particular. I have an entire channel dedicated to preserving old multiplayer titles, because online games in particular are the most susceptible to being completely lost over time. So I do get really upset. Even if it's a game that I never played before or even had the intention of playing, I think other people have the right to decide if they want to play the game for themselves, and I don't think that a large corporation should just arbitrarily remove the game from sale. I understand over time certain things happen, like licensing issues and things like that. That's why sports games get delisted all the time and stuff like that happens where the license only lasts a certain number of years. Then when that lapses, it gets taken down. Think of games like Tron Evolution, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. But this isn't even the case. There's no licensing problems. There's nothing like that. They just want to pull the plug on their indie gaming division, but there's a lot of collateral damage as a result because all these games may be lost in time forever. I can't imagine the hurt and pain that these developers are going through knowing that their work may be gone. It's one of those things, though, if you make enough noise, maybe they will reverse course and change what they're about to do here. Because remember a few months ago, the whole thing that was going on between PlayStation and Warner Brothers Discovery, they were going to remove all the content, even that people paid for already. They were going to take it away from people, but enough people made a lot of noise about that, and they had to reverse their decision on that. So it's possible. If enough people care, if enough people actually say something, then there's a good chance that these games can continue to be preserved for many, many more years to come, and hopefully that does happen. I know most of the devs for these games are going to try to self-publish the game and re-release it and figure something out, because Adult Swim did say that if they remove all references to Adult Swim, remove credits, and do all these different things, they can legally publish the game, but it seems so complex and very vague as to what's going to happen with these games. Hopefully everything just works out. If you guys don't have enough reason to hate Warner Brothers, here's another one for you, in case you needed it.